Welcome to True Crime Her Story. Thanks for being with us. Stay tuned for the full story behind the headlines, a story that matters. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video to help keep her memory alive. Welcome to True Crime Her Story. Last time we told you about Tiffany Harris, a mother who died protecting her family from her own son. Today's story is different. It's about what happens when the system that should protect families helps destroy them instead. Thanks for being with us. Stay tuned for the full story behind the headlines. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. December 11th, 2023, Las Vegas, Nevada. The desert city was just waking up. It was a crisp winter morning in Centennial Hills, one of the quieter neighborhoods in Northwest Vegas. At the Loretto and Palacio apartments on Oso Blanco Road, Monday morning felt ordinary. Residents were getting ready for work. Kids were heading to school. The kind of peaceful morning that makes you think nothing bad can happen. But in one apartment, that peace was about to shatter completely. Because sometimes the worst tragedies happen on the most normal days. And this Monday would become a day that changed everything for one family. Jason Patterson was worried about his brother Marvin. The night before, Marvin had sent him troubling texts. Talk about eviction, his car getting repossessed, life falling apart. So Jason decided to check on him that morning. He drove to the apartment complex, knocked on the door, no answer. He knocked harder, still nothing. Something felt wrong. Jason found a way inside. What he saw would haunt him forever. Bodies, blood, his brother's entire family, dead, all of them. But wait, he heard something. Faint breathing. One of the kids was still alive. Barely. Jason's hands shook as he dialed 911. His voice cracked as he tried to explain what he was seeing. "I need the police," he said. "I need medical. I hear one of the kids. They're breathing. They're trying to breathe." For 12 long minutes, Jason stayed on that call, trying to help. Trying to save a child who was slipping away, not knowing if help would come fast enough. But who were these people Jason found that morning? The family he was desperately trying to save. To understand this tragedy, you need to know who Shannara Patterson really was, and why her death shocked everyone who knew her. Shannara Patterson was born on December 10th, 1989 in Long Beach, California, but everyone who knew her called her Nara. She was 34 years old when she died, just one day after celebrating her birthday. The cruel timing of that still haunts her family. Shannara had skills with her hands, real talent. She was a cosmetologist who specialized in hair braiding, the kind of intricate work that takes patience and artistry. She could transform someone's look in hours. Her Instagram showed her work. Beautiful braids, perfect edges, hair that looked like art. Women traveled across Las Vegas just to sit in her chair. But Shannara wasn't just doing hair for other people. She had bigger dreams. She owned her own business called On Point Customs. Custom clothing, party favors, the kind of personal touches that make events special. She was an entrepreneur, building something for herself and her kids. In Las Vegas, that's not easy. The city is expensive, competition is tough, rent is high, but Shannara was making it work. She had vision, she had drive, and she had something even more important. She had love for her family that drove everything she did. Shannara's world revolved around 3 children, and these were the lives that Jason found hanging in the balance that December morning. Kezia Cohn, 14 years old. Everyone called her Zia. She was the oldest, artistic like her mom, the kind of kid who could draw for hours, always creating something, always imagining new projects. She wasn't Marvin's biological daughter, but he'd been her stepfather for years. Then there was Derek Cox, 11 years old. Everyone called him DJ. He was the middle child, the boy whose faint breathing Jason heard on that 911 call, the one who would somehow survive this nightmare. And the baby of the family was Myra Patterson, just 6 years old. Shannara called her Duty, a little girl who brought joy everywhere she went, Marvin's biological daughter. Shannara didn't just love her kids, she showed it every day. Elaborate birthday parties that other parents envied. For Myra's last birthday, Shannara threw a full Barbie theme party. Pink everywhere. Decorations that must have taken days to set up. photos that looked professional, social media posts that showed a family having fun, real fun, not the fake kind you sometimes see online. These kids were loved. You could see it in every picture, every video, every post Shannara shared showed the same thing. A mother who put her children first, always. Shannara wasn't building her life alone. She had her sister, Michaela. Everyone called her Kayla. Just 2 years younger, but close as sisters can be. They'd moved from California to Las Vegas together, looking for opportunity, looking for a fresh start. 2 young black women trying to make it in a city that promises everything but delivers harsh realities. In Vegas, you can reinvent yourself, start over, build something new. And that's exactly what Shannara was doing. Her beauty business was growing. Word of mouth in the hair industry is everything. Clients were returning, bringing friends, posting about her work online. Shannara was earning a reputation. Michaela was right there supporting her, being an aunt to the kids, the kind of sister who shows up for birthday parties, who babysits when needed, who helps with the business when things get busy. Together, they were building something real. A family business, a legacy, using their creativity and skills to make money, taking care of their family the way their parents taught them. It was working. Slowly, steadily. The way real success happens, not overnight riches, but something sustainable, something they could be proud of, something that would provide for the next generation. The American Dream, Vegas style. May 11th, 2019, Shannara's wedding day. She wore a beautiful white gown. Her father walked her down the aisle. The photos show pure joy. A woman who believed she'd found her partner for life. Marvin Ray Patterson seemed perfect. 8 years older, which felt like stability. He had kids from a previous marriage, so he understood blended families. He seemed to love her children, treated them well, no red flags anyone could see. The wedding was everything Shannara wanted. Traditional, families coming together. In those photos, she's glowing. This was her happy ending, a complete family. But sometimes the people we trust most become the ones who destroy us. For 3 years, that trust seemed justified. Then everything changed. October 2022. Shannara's world collapsed in a single day. Police arrested Marvin Ray Patterson. The charges were horrific. 9 felony counts, all involving children. 5 counts of lewd acts with a child under 14. 2 counts of sexual assault with a minor under 16. 1 count of lewd conduct with a child under 16. And 1 count of first-degree kidnapping of a minor. The timeline was staggering. These alleged crimes spanned from 2013 to 2022. Nearly a decade. Court documents showed Marvin knew all the victims. These weren't strangers. These were children in his life. Children who trusted him. The worst part? Shannara had a 14-year-old stepdaughter living in their home. Kezia, the same age as some of Marvin's alleged victims. How could she have known? How could anyone have known? Marvin had hidden this darkness perfectly. No prior domestic violence reports. No obvious warning signs. Just a man who seemed to love his blended family. But behind closed doors, investigators said he was a predator. The kind that targets the most vulnerable. Children who can't fight back, can't speak up, can't protect themselves. Shannara must have felt sick when she heard the charges. The man she'd married, the man she'd trusted with her children, the father of her youngest daughter. Everything she thought she knew about him was a lie. Marvin's bail was set at $100,000. That should have kept him in jail. A man facing 9 felonies involving children shouldn't walk free. But the system failed. His lawyer, Brett Whipple, filed a motion. He argued the bail was too high, said Marvin couldn't afford it, called him the family breadwinner. Judge Diana Sullivan listened to the arguments. Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson's office fought hard against reducing the bail. They knew how dangerous this was. A man accused of crimes against children shouldn't be free. But Judge Sullivan disagreed. She reduced the bail to just $10,000. $10,000 for 9 felonies involving children. The decision sparked outrage later. But in December 2022, Marvin walked free. He posted the reduced bail through a Las Vegas bail company. The conditions seemed strict. House arrest, electronic monitoring, No contact with anyone under 18. Surrender his passport. But here's what's shocking. No restrictions on firearms. A man accused of violent crimes against children could still own guns, could still access weapons. The system that was supposed to protect children had just released their alleged predator. And worse, it left him armed. Character witnesses had spoken for Marvin at the bail hearing. His brother Jason, other family members, even Shannara herself. They believed in his innocence. They vouched for his character. They helped convince the judge he wasn't a flight risk. They had no idea they were signing death warrants. The house arrest conditions required Marvin to live separately from the children. That meant 2 rents, 2 utility bills, double the housing costs in expensive Las Vegas. But somehow, on the night of December 10, 2023, Shannara and all 3 children were at Marvin's apartment. How did that happen? Why were the kids there when it violated his bail conditions? Court records show Shannara and the children had been evicted from their own place in November 2023. Money was tight. Housing was scarce. Maybe desperation made her ignore the warning signs. Maybe love made her believe his innocence. Maybe the system failed her too, by making it impossible for families to survive apart. The electronic monitoring should have alerted authorities. Someone should have checked. Someone should have stopped this. But nobody did. And by morning, 4 people were dead. But let's go back to that final night, December 10th, 2023. What should have been a celebration? December 10th, 2023, Shannara's 34th birthday. She was celebrating another year of life, another year of building her business, another year of watching her children grow. In the photos from that night, you can see the happiness. Shannara smiling, the kids around her. It looked like a normal family birthday. Cake, presents, love. Nobody could have imagined that in less than 24 hours, 3 of the people in those photos would be dead. Shannara had no way of knowing she was living her final hours, that this birthday would be her last. The cruel timing still haunts everyone who knew her. One day celebrating life, the next day, gone forever. But why were they all at Marvin's place? Why were the children there when his bail conditions specifically prohibited contact with minors? The answer lies in the financial pressure that had been building for months. Pressure that was crushing this family slowly. Pressure that may have pushed Marvin over the edge. Shannara probably thought she was doing what mothers do, trying to keep her family together during hard times. She had no idea she was walking her children into a death trap. The birthday celebration was supposed to be a bright spot in difficult days. Instead, it became the final happy memory before everything ended. The money problems had been building for months. Marvin's legal fees from the criminal charges were expensive. Defense attorneys don't work for free, especially not for cases involving 9 felonies. But that wasn't the worst part. The house arrest conditions meant Marvin had to live separately from Shannara and the kids. 2 apartments in Las Vegas, 2 rents, 2 sets of utilities, in a city where average rent was over $1,400 a month for decent places. The math was impossible. Shannara was making money with her beauty business and custom work, but not enough to carry 2 households, not enough to pay for lawyers and double housing costs. Then came November 2023. The eviction notice. Shannara and the children lost their apartment. Where do you go when you can't afford rent? When your credit is damaged? When landlords see evictions and run background checks, you go to family. You go to the person who's supposed to love and protect you. Even if that person is facing criminal charges, even if the law says he can't be around children, desperation makes people take risks. Love makes people ignore warning signs. Shannara thought Marvin was innocent. She'd stood by him at the bail hearing. She believed in him, and maybe she thought the charges were just accusations, that her husband couldn't really be the monster prosecutors claimed. Sunday night, December 10th. After the birthday celebration, after the family went to sleep, Marvin sent his brother Jason troubling text messages. The texts talked about getting evicted, about his car being repossessed, about everything falling apart. Jason had seen his brother stressed before, The criminal charges had been weighing on him for over a year. The trial was coming up in April 2024. But something about these messages felt different, more desperate, more final. So Jason decided to check on his brother the next morning, Monday, December 11th. Around 10 a.m., Jason drove to the Loreto and Palacio apartments. He went to Marvin's unit, knocked on the door, no answer. Knocked again, still nothing. Jason probably thought his brother was sleeping, or maybe avoiding people. Depression can make you shut down, isolate, not answer calls or texts, but Jason kept trying. He found a way into the apartment. Maybe a spare key, maybe an unlocked door. Maybe he kicked it in. The exact method doesn't matter. What matters is what he found inside. A scene so horrible that it would haunt him forever. His brother's entire family. Shot. Blood everywhere. The smell. The silence. The realization that he was too late. That whatever had happened, it was already over. Except for the faint sound of breathing. Jason's hands were shaking when he dialed 911. The call lasted 12 minutes. 12 minutes of trying to explain the unexplainable. "I need the police," he said. His voice was breaking. "I need medical. I hear one of the kids. They're breathing. They're trying to breathe." The dispatcher tried to keep him calm, tried to get information. How many people? What kind of injuries? Were the shooters still there? But Jason was in shock. His brother Marvin was dead. Shannara was dead. 2 of the children were dead. And one child, DJ, was barely clinging to life. "They're all gone," Jason said at one point. The words every family fears, the words that mean everything, changed forever. But DJ wasn't gone. Not yet. Jason could hear him breathing, faint, labored, but breathing. The dispatcher kept Jason on the line, told him help was coming. Paramedics, police, everyone who could help. But would they get there in time? For 12 minutes, Jason waited, listening to a child dying, knowing his brother had done this, knowing his family was destroyed. The longest 12 minutes of his life. When first responders finally arrived, they found exactly what Jason had described. A murder-suicide that would shake Las Vegas. 4 dead. 1 child fighting for his life. And a community asking how this could have been prevented. If this story shows you anything, it's that the warning signs were there. The system failed, and families paid the price. Make sure this story reaches people who need to hear it. Share it. Comment. Subscribe, because silence never protects anyone. But this story isn't just about death. It's also about survival against impossible odds. When paramedics arrived at the apartment, they found DJ in what medical professionals call an agonal state. That's a technical way of saying he was dying. His body was shutting down. No pulse, barely breathing. Most people don't come back from that. But DJ did. The paramedics worked on him immediately. CPR, life support, racing against time to get him to University Medical Center. UMC is the only level 1 trauma center in Las Vegas. If anyone could save him, it was them. But even the doctors weren't sure. A gunshot wound to an 11-year-old. The trauma, the blood loss, the time that had passed. Everything was working against him. His family gathered at the hospital, praying, hoping, waiting for news. Days turned into weeks. DJ fought every single day. Slowly, incredibly, he started to improve. His father, also named Derek Cox, began posting updates on TikTok, videos showing DJ's progress, small victories that meant everything. Moving his hand, speaking a word, taking a step. Each milestone was a miracle. DJ wasn't just surviving, he was proving that sometimes hope wins, that sometimes love is stronger than hate, that an 11-year-old boy can be tougher than anyone imagined. While DJ fought for his life, the Las Vegas community rallied around his family. Makala, Shannara's sister, set up a GoFundMe page called Nara and Her Babies. She needed money for funeral expenses, for DJ's medical bills. For therapy, he'd need later. The description broke hearts. She called Shannara generous, said Zemira was sweet, described Keziah as goofy and artistic. But fundraising wasn't enough. Isaiah Robinson stepped up. He was 31 years old. Owned a food truck called Trap Wings. He'd known Shannara since they were kids at Valley High School. On December 14th, just 3 days after the shooting, Ija organized a fundraiser at his food truck in the historic West Side's MLK Plaza. He donated all proceeds from chicken wings and other food. The community showed up. People who never knew Shannara came to help. They bought food, they shared stories, they cried together. The event nearly sold out. It showed how tragedy can bring people together, how strangers become family when families are torn apart. December 29, 2023. Las Vegas said goodbye to Shannara, Kezia, and Zemira. The funeral was everything Shannara would have wanted. Beautiful, meaningful, full of love. Family and friends gathered to remember 3 lives cut too short. Mikala organized candlelight vigils beforehand, balloon releases that she shared on TikTok. Purple and pink balloons floating up to heaven. The formal service gave everyone a chance to grieve together, to share memories, to promise that these 3 wouldn't be forgotten. Shannara's mother, Jamesetta Bernuti, spoke through tears. She talked about her daughter's generous heart, about grandchildren she'd never see grow up. But she also talked about anger, about a system that failed her family, about a judge who let a dangerous man walk free. The funeral was beautiful, but it was also a reminder. This didn't have to happen. 3 people died because the system failed them. And that's when the questions started. How did this happen? Who was responsible? Jasmine Lee didn't hold back. She's the founder of a charity that supports murdered people of color. When she heard about Marvin's bail being reduced, she was furious. Called it a slap in the face to victims. She couldn't understand how a judge could look at 9 felony charges involving children and think $10,000 was appropriate. District Attorney Steve Wolfson had fought hard against the reduction. His prosecutors knew Marvin was dangerous. They argued he should stay locked up. But Judge Diana Sullivan disagreed. She listened to the defense arguments about financial hardship, about character witnesses, about Marvin being the breadwinner, and she made a decision that would haunt everyone. Jamesetta Bernuti's words cut deep. If he would have been in jail, none of this would have happened. Simple, direct, true. Shannara's mother wasn't interested in legal complexities or bail procedures. She saw it clearly. Her daughter and grandchildren were dead because a dangerous man walked free. The grief was overwhelming, but so was the anger. At Marvin, at the system, at everyone who made this possible. Jamesetta had lost her daughter, lost 2 grandchildren, and DJ would never be the same. All because a judge thought $10,000 was enough to keep a community safe from a man facing 9 felonies involving children. This wasn't random violence. Experts call it family annihilation. When someone facing crisis eliminates their family before killing themselves. The warning signs are usually there. Legal troubles, financial problems, loss of control. Marvin had all of them. Criminal charges that would destroy his reputation. Money problems from legal fees and double housing. A trial approaching that he probably knew he'd lose, but the system missed it or ignored it. Either way, 4 people paid with their lives. This tragedy was preventable. The tools existed. The warnings were clear. Someone just had to act. DJ's father kept sharing updates on TikTok. Small victories that meant everything. DJ taking his first steps after the shooting, speaking his first words, smiling again. Each video showed incredible resilience. An 11-year-old boy refusing to let tragedy define him. The medical bills were massive. The therapy would last years. But DJ was alive. He was healing. He was proving that sometimes hope wins over hate. His recovery gave meaning to senseless loss, showed that survival is possible, that children are stronger than we imagine. Mikala kept her sister's memory alive through her beauty business. Truth Beauty Hair Collection on Instagram. She honored Shannara's artistry, her entrepreneurial spirit, her dedication to making women feel beautiful. The business became more than work. It was remembrance. It was legacy. Every client who sat in Mikala's chair was connecting to Shannara's dream. The community kept supporting, sharing posts, booking appointments, making sure the family business survived. That Shannara's vision lived on. Conversations started about bail reform, about risk assessment, about protecting families from hidden predators. Advocates pushed for firearm restrictions in domestic cases, for better monitoring systems, for judges to take community safety seriously. The goal was simple: make sure no other family suffers like Shannara's did. Turn tragedy into change. Use loss to save lives. because that's how we honor the dead, by protecting the living. This story asks hard questions about the people we trust, the systems we rely on, the warning signs we miss. Shinar believed in Marvin's innocence. The system believed he deserved freedom. Both were wrong, and 3 innocent people died because of it. Trust carefully, question authority, and never ignore red flags.